Right, so thank you for joining us for this short 10-minute wrap-up session. I'm sure you had as interesting and fascinating discussions as our workshop definitely was. We're going to have 3 wrap-ups in 2 minutes each, just so that you know some of the themes which were touched on by speakers. So delighted to have with us Gilbert Azoulay. I used to know as a journalist 25 years ago on the RFI. Hi, Gilbert, can you give us a 2 minutes, 2 minutes, a summary of what happened in your workshop? Gilbert.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Let's speak about tomorrow and the keywords of higher ed. It was the themes of our conference. Digital. We are living in a technical revolution. If it's not the main questions, it's a big issue for university all over Europe, all over the world. They have to invest massively and to propose a new way of learning anywhere at any time. We understand the value of peer-to-peer and the necessity of online resources. Second keyword, new organization, new mindset among teachers and students. For all this community, there is a new perspective. Students are now actors of their university courses, and teachers are more like coaches to drive their students to knowledge and employability. This new mindset drives us to mixed disciplines and also to create a community between initial and professional education. There is a continuum, as we used to say. And the third key point, impact and search of purpose. Students on how the higher ed community wants to know the impact of their actions, impact on planet Earth, impact on for their today's life, and how I can help make things better and not to make it worse. I think it's a big issue, a big question for all the students. Thank you, Alex.
Merci, Gilbert. Thank you very much indeed. You certainly set the tone in terms of the dynamic, short resume of what happened in your workshop. Delighted now to hand over to Kate DAUBNEY. Kate, in 2 minutes, if you could give us a taste of some of the things, the experiences that you've been talking about. Kate.
Thank you very much. So I think many common themes that attendees will recognise, and we were considering portfolio education and how our higher education institutions might seize the opportunity. And I think one might immediately think of disruption and perhaps think of it as a negative thing. But in fact, notwithstanding perhaps some bureaucratic structures in universities that may need to be refreshed, and I think a really strong emphasis on culture change, institutions understanding that their role is going to be different in a portfolio of educational qualifications, micro-credentials, open badges that really force us to think quite differently about how education and learning are constructed. And recognition and validation was quite a key part of that conversation. So opportunity for institutions, but also opportunity for students, and this opportunity to co-create. So this idea of collaborative learning between educators and students. This also emphasis on curation, students perhaps needing quite a bit of support to help them curate perhaps quite interdisciplinary programs that draw together different areas of interest. And thinking then, how is that received by an employer? How might that be perceived externally? And one of our speakers suggested that this is already happening quite strongly, where students just create the program that they want. But context still very, very important. And also trying to move ourselves away in how we understand learning and knowledge as perhaps away from a deficit model and more towards something that's about adding and recognizing what is already there, and the importance of doing that in a holistic and quite inclusive fashion. So I think enormous opportunity, that would be a key theme. Emancipation was one word mentioned by one of our speakers, which I thought was very inspiring. It's about giving control and opportunity to all.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for that a very dynamic resume. As regards the workshop that I was lucky enough to be participating in, we had Thibaut Duchesne from the CNAM, who talked about the slight problem there is in France with the meritocracy system that tends to favour the big towns, and how the CNAM has been very dynamic, especially over the last year or so, in helping smaller towns with less geographical mobility, where there's often a lack of training possibilities. It's important, said Thibault, to work with local politicians and to work with the French government in order to get these towns on board. There have been 30 new centres open since 2019. We heard also from ESAM University Jordana, who talked about 1000 doctorants pour les territoires, how to get young people the possibility of working at a local level and studying there. Jordana referred to this as Tinder for PhD students, which is exactly what it is, to put people into contact. ESAM has been working on a project, a network, since 2017, putting local authorities in touch with PhD students. And then we had a very interesting Chase initiative from Stephen Colborne between the possibilities in London and the south of England, also East Anglia. This was coordinated by the University of Sussex and started in 2014 and concerns arts and humanity students. He gave us some concrete examples of some of the things that Chase has been involved in, for example, feminist networks and also climate change initiatives, and also talk briefly about some of the international aspects. There have been other examples, for example, in South Africa, and how Chase has helped students to get to the work at the BBC with Barclay and Tierra Digna. So it's also my role, I think, to sum up the whole day. What an interesting approach we've all had to the work world of tomorrow. Thank you to all of us who have taken part, to all of you who've been listening today, and to the presenters. What a new world we have. I, for one, don't know what VUCA was, and an amazing set of challenges, but also, I think, as we've seen today, quite a lot of interesting initiatives which are out there whenever the world gets back to normal, or perhaps that's the exciting thing, what the new normal is. Thank you very much to all the organisers of today, to ESAM Université, to the British Council, and to the University of London Institute in Paris, wherever you're watching us. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup et au revoir. Goodbye.